All right, Aries, thanks for tuning in to your December of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen. Okay, so let's have a look. Got a lot of activity this month in your ninth house, and ninth house is about your life path. I feel like a lot of you are going to have some changes. There has been a lot of changes in regards to that, a lot of releasing in terms of it, and on a more mundane level, the ninth house also rules university, travel, and those sorts of things, so some of you might be going through some changes there. And on a spiritual level, you know, the ninth house is our connection to our higher self. It's our connection to God, to our angels, to our guides. And so there's a restructuring taking place in that area. We've got Venus, Mercury, and the Sun all going over Pluto in that ninth house. And while that's happening, there's a T-square between Pluto and Uranus, this square that's been going on for the past couple of years between these two planets. But then also throw in the North Node into that T-square now. The North Node's getting closer and closer to that. And this is the second to last aspect of this square between Pluto and Uranus, the last being in March. So we're coming to a culmination point. What I feel this month is it's kind of this pivot point where we are the most aware of what needs to change, what needs to be restructured in our lives. Because the second to last aspect, the last aspect is full culmination. It's like you totally understand it, lessons learned, you're moving on to the next thing. The one before it is information. You have the wisdom, you have the knowing in terms of what needs to be done. Now these are very high octave planets, very slow moving planets. So the knowing may be, you know, subconscious, it may be etheric, it may be done through dream space, etc. Especially with Uranus transiting your 12th house. But it'll be clear. And I think at least on a emotional level or subconscious level, you'll know what needs to get done, what needs to change in order for you to have more freedom and more stability in your life. Because that's what these two planets are really showing you. Showing all of us. Pluto and Uranus is about restructuring our lives so we can be more free, so we can enjoy our lives much more and ground our higher selves too. So with Pluto and all this activity in your ninth house, there's this restructuring. Perhaps, you know, this is different for all of you, but in a general sense, perhaps it's got something to do with your connection to God, your connection to your higher self. This needs to be restructuring there. And now this month is very personal in terms of that. Or perhaps it's got to do with your life path in general and releasing and seeing how the universe unfolds naturally. And while your path is changing, there needs to be a sense of release, a sense of non-attachment. And that's where the heart chakra, and because that's what Pluto really activates, is that heart chakra at the end of the day. It transforms us so that we can have more awareness and compassion in our lives, which is what that heart really provides. And so this is compassion for yourself, compassion for how the path is unfolding, and also understanding that everything happens in divine timing. But I think things are really going to shift for you this month. And as this shifting takes place, it's really setting the stage for this time period up until March, where I feel like you can make some really productive changes. Utilize that Pluto energy in the constructive sense. And so making changes on your path, doing things that you need to do, that you know you need to do, but you know what? Now it's time to do it. 4 months, why not? It's a short-term thing, and you can knock it out in that time period. And of course, like I said, this is deep, and so it may need, you know, it may require you to really dive deep into the psyche to really figure it out. But I think you're going to naturally want to do that. The main reason I say that is because Venus is the first to go over Pluto, and usually that's a wanting, because Venus is about enjoyment, so I think that's wanting to get deeper. It's wanting on a mundane level to get deeper with relationships. So I think relationships are going to go through a slight transformation this month. But it's mostly the relationship you have with yourself in this sense. You know, are you being compassionate with yourself, etc. So wanting to do that, though, wanting to dive deep and feel those feelings and see what's going on and see what needs to get done and what you can do. And like I said, the more restructuring you do, the more you take action in this productive sense, it's going to unlock that freedom of Uranus. And the freedom of Uranus is spirituality, it's presence. Uranus transiting your 12th is showing you that spirituality happens naturally, it unfolds naturally, but when it does, there's a tremendous amount of freedom in that. When you release, when you no longer hold on too tight to the way something needs to be or ought to be, then there's this higher self that gets channeled down. There's this freedom and this, your ideals, you know, it's that sense of just freedom, of unlocking your true self, your unique self. You can be how you want. There's no longer confinements because you're going with that presence and you're going with that flow. So that's what these changes are really invoking in terms of your spirituality and, of course, in terms of your life path. Now, the next planet to go over and this is all, by the way, all this is happening later. It's kind of towards the 20th onward. So it's towards the end of the month, but we're going to feel the energies as it's building, you know, up to it. So the first is Venus, then later on it's Mercury, and so I think then the thoughts is, you know, how you see things, and your conscious self is going to go through a transformation, going to go through a change. And I think, again, that's wanting to see things a little bit differently, or perhaps something will create that for you so you can see things in that clearer sense. And then the sun's going to go over there, which is the last enjoyment aspect, because the sun is about our enjoyment, what gives us a sense of vitality. And I think that might be where a lot of the inspiration and drive, but you know, it's wanting to enjoy your life, you know, that kind of change. When the sun goes over Pluto, it's seeing things in a different light. And the light is usually how you can bring more enjoyment, creativity, and fun into your current circumstance, and how all these changes are all helping you with that. They're all for your happiness, all these changes in your life. So as these planets go one by one, you're going to be feeling this energy, but this is kind of towards the end of the month. But right in the middle of the month is when we have the T-square. So this is going to be the overall energy, but I think it's going to become more personal as the month progresses. Okay, more mundane, perhaps through relationships, perhaps through your work, perhaps through creativity and that sort of thing. Now this T-square in general, like I said, it's involving Uranus and Pluto, but it's also involving the North Node in the 6th house. So you guys are becoming very aware of the importance of grounding your spirituality, you might say, the importance of the day-to-day, and how taking care of your physical self contributes to all these changes. So your health, taking care of your health, taking care of your daily activities, your routine, all of this is going to contribute to all of this. So I really feel like that's where the focus should be on. Mostly, focus on your health, make sure you're taking care of yourself, make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating the right food, and creating enough space in your life, organizing your life to create enough space to allow for these changes. Because it's very catalytic energy here, and it can be very transformative. So there needs to be a focal point for you, for all of us. And for you, the focal point is that 6th house. So focusing on that, I feel, will really assist you in these changes. So that's mid-month, but again, we're going to be feeling this all month. And the strongest point will be between the 10th and the 20th in terms of this T-square. But then from the 20th onward, like I said, it becomes very personal. So that's the major thing happening this month. Now, there's a lot of other activity. Let's talk about all this activity in that 9th house. Let's talk more on that, because what's happening earlier in the month is that Venus, Mercury, and the Sun are going into Sagittarius. So the shift from the 5th onward, the key dates here are the 5th, the 13th, and the 15th. Venus, Mercury, and the Sun. From the 5th onward, there's going to be a wanting, I believe, to start making changes on the path, or perhaps wanting to expand your horizons, and that's very beneficial for you. So for you guys, you have to see the open field. You got to see the open horizon this month. That's going to create the motivation, the drive, the energy to make these changes, and also the awareness and enjoyment to make these changes as well. So if you feel limited, if you feel like you're not able to see the open road, the open horizon, then open up, do something, make it so that you have that grand open sense. And I feel like channeling might be necessary, again, connecting to your higher self, asking the angels for help, that type of thing. That will create a lot of the guidance and open horizon, because open horizons doesn't necessarily mean physically. It's very metaphoric. And the most open our horizons can be is when we're connected to the higher realm, of course. So do make that connection, I feel. But you're going to notice things are becoming less deep. There's a transformation taking place for you, because last month in November, all this activity was in Scorpio. So you've gone through a transformation, I feel, in November, and now this month you're wanting to open up those horizons. You feel transformed, you see things in a different light, and I think there's a lot of optimism and good feeling that can be really utilized for you this month. So tap into it, utilize it, let that open you up both consciously and emotionally and spiritually. Now let's talk about Mars, the last of the mundane planets. Mars is going to be in your 10th house for the entire month. So that is a good focal point, I think, for you guys to also focus on in terms of, in this sense, in terms of your career or work or whatever you're doing for the public with Mars there. Lots of energy there. I think you guys can achieve a lot. And whatever that is in that area, use that energy, focus it in there. And Mars is playing a very benefic role in all of this. And he's sextiling up to Uranus too. So by utilizing that energy in the work, you're going to unlock a lot of this freedom, I feel. And bringing in some of that presence and flow into your day-to-day work area will assist that as well. And now this is all playing a role very strongly with Uranus. Like I said, Uranus is actually going station direct on the 21st. So with this Mars aspect's happening on the 20th, a little later on in the month. But you can utilize it all month. But you'll notice that towards the end, when this aspect takes place, the more energy you put into your work, the more freedom there is. Okay, and that's going to unlock, I think, a new spiritual understanding for you. It's in the 12th house, so it may or may not be conscious, but you're going to notice a sense of freedom in that. Okay, so whatever that is, whatever unlocks in the work area, I feel like it'll create a nice sense of presence and harmony in your life. And then a lot of this 12th house stuff with, going with the flow, compassion, meditation, presence in your life will start to flow from that point onward when Uranus goes station direct on the 21st. So that's Mars. So let's see, we talked about the T-square. Let's talk about Jupiter going station direct this month. Jupiter in your guys' 4th house, he's been there for almost about a year now, have been expanding your emotional sphere, okay? Seeing how soul family are there to support you and reaching out to those in your perhaps literal family, soul family, and seeing the abundance in that and support that comes through that. But also how your path is being guided by your emotional body. Your body in general, how your body has the clues, the insights. So for those of you, where when Pluto starts to go station retrograde, you guys from the 9th onward, you're going to be reflecting, I think, a little bit in terms of the path. How is the path unfolding? What is the path? Because that's what Jupiter rules. So go within, because in the 4th house, it's a signal, and this is the last retrograde he's going to have in your 4th house. Go within over the next few months and feel the instincts, feel what your feelings are telling you, because inside you have the answer in terms of what needs to take place on your path and which direction to move in. So that's Jupiter. Now we've got very nice aspects taking place with Chiron and Neptune, with all of this activity in your guys' life path sector in your 9th house. So through going through these motions, through making these constructive changes, there's a sense of healing taking place. And it's healing your relationships, it's healing your conscious mind, it's healing your vitality. So go within, and I think if you want to, and I think you should, go deeper, wanting to go deeper, getting into the psyche like I talked about, you're going to find it very healing through this process. Okay, there's an opportunity there. It's your choice with the sextile. You can choose to do that. But if you do, you'll find it very healing and transformative, and also very peaceful. And there's actually a great sense of, you'll notice that these transformations this month don't need to be intense. In fact, they're not. You have Neptune sextiling up to this point, which is suggesting that there's a tremendous amount of spiritual presence and going with the flow that can be had during these transformations to your guys' life path this month. So the emphasis, like I said, is really strongly on that 9th house, life path type stuff, university travel on the mundane level, and your connection to God, Source, and the angels. And also in your 12th house, which is the presence and flow. So I think really uniting those two, because with the square with Pluto and Uranus, you want to bring those two together. Unite the path with presence, and you'll see that they're not that different after all. That in order to go on the path, in order to have these changes, there needs to be a sense of presence. And in order for you to have spirituality, have a sense of presence, you need to have transformation and change to your path. Your path is unfolding to that. So the last thing here is the full moon taking place in your 2nd house early in the month. So I think a lot of you are going to become very aware of what your self-worth is, or at least can. So really reflect around the 6th in terms of what you value, what's important to you, what your self-worth is. And I think that's going to assist you. And you're going to find, I think, through that a lot of your innate skills and innate abilities to make these transformations. Because we're all born with certain traits and certain skills and characteristics that enable us to make these changes in our life. And so for you, really reflect on that on the 6th, because I think a lot of that can really illuminate, and you can have a strong sense of worth. You can feel that you're worthy of abundance. You're worthy of a happy life, essentially. You're worthy of all these changes that are going to create abundance in your life in all areas, and you can do it. You can make those changes when you tap into that inner abundance within. Now later in the month, there is the new beginning. The new moon is taking place in that 9th house. So around the 21st, the 20th, 21st is a very transformational time period. And I think from that point onward, it's going to be a lot of changes for you guys in terms of your life path. And a lot of new beginnings, okay? A brand new beginning to set off in that direction and continue to make those changes, I feel. But there's going to be completion. And it's just going to take that sense of initiative, getting your feet wet a little bit, experiment with it. Experiment with different, avenues of the path, you might say. And again, do that releasing. And then through that, I think there's going to be a good sense of newness and a sense of freshness and vitality of starting anew. Because, when we start anew, there's a tremendous amount of freedom with Uranus, of course. But just, we have the wherewithal. We have a fresh start and new energy to use in that direction. And I think around the 21st, the more you go within, the more you reflect on that with that new moon energy, the more of that freshness you can really unlock and clarity you can see in terms of what that new direction actually is. All right, guys, so I'm going to draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little more emphasis for your guys' reading this month. Okay, Scorpio. Well, there it is. And this is good this came up because Saturn is actually transiting Scorpio, and I don't want to leave Saturn out. Now, in terms of Scorpio, this is what this Pluto energy is all about. It's about releasing attachments, going with the flow, but also, like I said, wanting to get deeper with things. And with Saturn transiting Scorpio, there's this sense of maturity that I feel that needs to come out with this whole process. There's transformation where it's completely destructive and not grounded and not mature whatsoever. And then there's transformation where it's willing, where this is Saturn energy, where you become a master, you're a willing participant in the changes in your life. And then through that, you step into that power, and you step into the power of creating the life and changes in an active sense. And so then the changes aren't happening to you, you are wanting to make those changes in that grounded way. So I feel like stepping into that grounded sense in terms of Saturn will really benefit you guys this month. Just want to let you guys know that I'm offering a special this month. It's a 45-minute recorded reading gift you can give to a friend or family member. And of course, you guys already get 50% off my 1-hour sessions, which you can also extend, and it's a great way to look at the year ahead. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great month, and I'll see you next time. Take care.